Hey, Joe Bailey here. Today, this is the first AQA GCSE chemistry revision lesson, and this is on the periodic table of elements, which this is an example of. It contains the elements' relative atomic mass, their atomic symbol, and atomic number. And as you can see here, this is a list of what it is like today. So let's flip over in a cool transition to the other side. Nice. So this is the paper. Periodic table elements. So, periodic table. The periodic table is arranged in increasing atomic numbers. The groups go down and the periods go across. So, how did the periodic table get invented? Well, the first person to come up with something was Newlands, who talked about the law of octaves. He said that there was a repeating pattern of similar properties every eighth element, which would later go on to us finding out about the 8 groups. However, Newlands did some things that people didn't agree with, like he had some boxes with 2 elements in, and mixed metals and non-metals. Then after Newlands came Mendeleev, who changed a few things. He left gaps in his table for undiscovered elements, as he knew that they would exist with certain properties. He created the correct property groups by reversing some of the elements' orders, which put them entirely in the right property orders, but there were still no noble gases at that time. So an example of a group which goes down in the periodic table is group 0, which is the noble gases, and they will have 0 in their outer shell. So they have a full outer shell. 0 refers to the electrons. They have a full electron outer shell. Noble gases, so we're on the actual group now, they're in group 0. They're odorless, inert, which means they're unreactive. They're colourless, they're monatomic, and some examples of them are helium, which is used in balloons because it's lighter than air, and neon, which is used for signs because it lights up bright, which is kind of ironic considering it's a colourless gas. Anyway, let's move on to the properties of metals and non-metals. So, non-metals are weak, rigid, dull, not sonorous, non-magnetic, whereas metals are malleable, shiny, strong, sonorous, and magnetic. And the formula for metals is a metal plus water turns into metal hydroxide plus hydrogen. So an example of this formula being put into action is lithium plus water, lithium being the metal, turns into lithium oxide plus hydrogen. This in symbol form is this. They're the same thing. So, one type of metal is the alkali metals, which are in group 1, which means they have 1 in their outer shell. They're different from metals as they are soft, have a low density, are not malleable, and don't conduct electricity. They also dull after being reacted with oxygen in a way such as heating. Something that's in group 1 reacts with something in group 7 to form a full outer shell, and they create a compound. So let's move over to what is in number group 7. So here, group 7, halogens. So they tend to end in ine, which is I-N-E. They're poisonous. They're in group 7, which means they react with group 1, as 7 plus 1 equals 8, which makes full outer shell. Halogens consist of 2 gases, 1 liquid and 2 solids. The colours of them go yellow, green, orange, brown, dark grey and purple. So that's descending. And those are the 3 specific groups we studied: halogens, alkali metals and noble gases. They all have different properties. And here's some nice bonus info on the end. This helium is monatomic, which means it travels around as just one atom. However, this hydrogen is diatomic, which means it travels around in pairs. You might be able to use these words in a sentence, which would be pretty cool in an exam. So that's the bonus info for this lesson. So that's the periodic table completed. Yeah, I'll just turn over to this for a minute. As you know, that's the table. Have a look at it if you want. You probably won't need this in a test, but it's always good to know some of them.